Russian forces using clever tactics to seize Ukrainians' Kupyansk. The occupation of Kupyansk in the Kharkiv region is a strategic goal for Russian forces in the area. They are partially succeeding in breaking through toward the town, said Alexei Bielsky, a spokesperson for the Dnipro Operational Strategic Grouping of Troops. The spokesperson also noted that the gas pipeline, as we see, which Russian forces used to enter Kupyansk northern outskirts, is under Ukrainian fire control. Earlier, Russian troops had used underground pipelines to bypass Ukrainian defensive positions in Avdiivka, Donetsk region in January 2024, and in Sudzha, Kursk region in March 2025. What about the situation near Kupyansk, and how does the terrain and pipeline network influence the tactical choices of both Ukrainian and Russian forces?
Yeah. First, I wouldn't call it smart, to be honest. I wouldn't call it clever, because these are very old pipelines, decades old, and the Russians are doing something like what happens with the Trojan horse many years ago. So this is very old tactics. I think in Second World War also pipes were used under the towns and canal systems. What I think is a little frightening is that Ukrainians do not anticipate what's happening there. As you said, there were so many instances, including Avdiivka, including Kursk, also now in Kupyansk, where also in Chasiv Yar, by the way, where the Russians were using this tactic. So I don't understand why they first have to find another pipeline, get through this, get out on the other side before Ukrainian starts to realize, oh, there was a pipeline. So we have to hit the exit. I think Ukraine has to map all of them very well. Yes, they're under fire control, but again, under fire control doesn't mean you kill 100% of the Russians. It means maybe you kill 30%, 50%, maybe 70% of the Russians, which still means if it's a unit of 130 Russian soldiers will make it behind your front line. We have seen this in Avdiivka. It was terrible there. It was the end of the city. And they will attack you from behind. The same happened in Kursk, by the way, when they climbed, I think, 15 kilometers and exited north of Sudzha. And suddenly Ukrainian drone units had them all around them. So that was dangerous. I think it's not smart. It's just using very old infrastructure. I mean, climbing through a channel, climbing through a pipeline is nothing innovative. It's just using the infrastructure as it is. And I think Ukraine has to see this. So altogether, yes, unfortunately in Kupyansk, the Russians are also advancing. And there, I think it's the lack of manpower from the Ukrainian side, which is most decisive, because the Russians on the western shore of the Oskil are advancing without tanks, as far as I know. Of course, they have air support, drone support, but still it's guys, it's Russian soldiers walking on the ground. So it's a very bad situation, and I think Kupyansk may not fall because, as you know, on the eastern side of the Oskil, there are still many square kilometers under Ukrainian control, and they can only be supplied through Kupyansk. So if Kupyansk falls, the entire part of the other side of the river will also collapse. In Dnipropetrovsk, you see the same problem. You were just mentioning this. The Russians are using extreme firepower there. You may not forget that it's this part of the front where the Russians can fire from the south, from Zaporizhzhia, as well as from the east, from Donetsk Oblast. And that makes it really easy for them to use many bombs, to use many flight corridors, to have the air superiority there. And if you look, I know it's Russian propaganda, but if you watch these videos there, you can always see that I think Beresova was one of the last villages which was captured. You can see that they're always using this extreme firepower. They're using dozens and dozens of Cubs. Then they're using MLRS, the Grad missiles and other missiles. Then come the drones. And finally, when everything is destroyed and when all the Ukrainian defense positions are destroyed, then you can see maybe, 5 to 10 to 20 soldiers moving in. Yes, maybe half of them are getting killed, but the other half is capturing the village and then keep moving within Dnipropetrovsk Oblast.
And what about Sumy region? Because President Volodymyr Zelensky has reported good results achieved by Ukrainian forces in the border area of Sumy region. How has the situation on the ground changed as a result of these successes?
Well, I don't know what you are seeing. I'm seeing that so far only 2 villages were liberated in Sumy. 2 villages and another 13 remain under Russian control. Yes, President Zelensky has said we are moving forward. We are doing we are doing regaining ground. I think it's happening between these villages, but I think still, from what the Russians once captured in Sumy, I think still 90% are under Russian control. Yes, the Russian offensive was stopped. That's a very good thing, I would say. Sumy is not in danger of being captured. But yeah, you are showing the map here. And I would say if you compare the red and the blue in this area, you see that 90% of the Russian captured territory is still under Russian control. You can see the same situation in Vovchansk area. You can see the same situation in Lipsy area, north of Kharkiv. I think the Russians are not unhappy with what's happening. Of course, they would like to have a successful offensive. They would like to capture a next town. But if it's not possible, I think it's, you see this there. They have these little pockets here and there and there. For them, it's okay because it binds hundreds, if not thousands of Ukrainian soldiers there, because everyone knows the Russians would like to advance. So if the Ukrainians are moving away, the Russians will move forward. So it binds thousands of Ukrainian soldiers in these areas, which are also under attack, sometimes at least by the Russians. So yes, I mean, it's a very difficult situation. Yes, the Russian offensive was stopped. No, I don't see Sumy being liberated so far by the Ukrainian army.